So undecided, that particular arrangement for me really it kind of captured that flavor. It's one of the more big bandy, if you don't mind me using that term, charts that we have in our library actually for this size ensemble. That arrangement was done by Mike Tomorrow, but I think it captures really the essence of that swing era. We have sax soli, brass soli, and the two sections of woodwinds and brass pitted against each other in a duel, if you were, or if you will, as was the tradition from the time of Henderson, Fletcher Henderson's band. That's where the origins. Don Redman was the writer for that band, and in the 1920s, Fletcher Henderson's band was kind of the main band that everyone was looking to in New York City. He actually had enough clout that he was able to invite Louis Armstrong to come out from Chicago just before the time of the recordings of the Hot Fives and Hot Sevens, which you should also have in your listening library if you do not. But just prior to that, Louis was invited to come from Chicago. He left his mentor, Joe Oliver's band. Joe Oliver managed to get him to come up from New Orleans as the scene was changing down there and more or less falling apart. Joe Oliver was able to convince Louis Armstrong to come to Chicago and join him and play second trumpet in his band, where he met his wife, Lil Hardin, and she convinced him basically to step out on his own. She said, "I don't want to marry a second trumpet player." And so Louis went from Chicago to New York. Fletcher, when Louis went to New York City, he didn't have any parts in Fletcher Henderson's band. He would just basically sit in the back and they would point to him and he would stand up and play choruses. He would improvise. But what happened was he brought that New Orleans punch and bounce, if you like, that syncopated rhythm into that band in a way that it was not there prior to his being there. And of course, writers like Don Redman picked that up and started to incorporate that into the arrangements, into the written arrangements. So not a lot of fans know this, but that's really the origins of big band writing. Large ensemble writing is right there. And of course, Duke Ellington was across town playing in the Kentucky Club, and watching that happen and taking a little bit of that and also incorporating those elements and coming up with some of his own stuff. So the 1920s was a very important time in New York City.